so that's $14 a day. Now that's not enough to make, see, no flags went off because that was so benign. Like $14 a day didn't sound like it was going to be a gas field, you know. And then 2 years later we had 2 dozen wells. And the following year we had 62, and now we have over 100 in the area. You know, so there's some information that wasn't shared. Why? Because they don't have to. If you're going to invest in the company, they have to tell you. But if they're going to steal your land, they don't have to. You know, it's like Native Americans on the reservation. We get to stay on top of this land, but we don't own it anymore. And once a week we get to line up and take our water. You think that's a good deal? You think that should be happening in the United States of America?
Shouldn't happen anywhere.
World War II. He's very upset about this. He doesn't know what he fought for if this is happening to his daughter.
So how long was the contract? Like 2 years?
Forever.
Forever. Oh. So that
Forever. Because see, I didn't know there was an automatic renewal. I didn't know that if there's activity on your property, the lease goes on forever. Well, I don't have a gas well on my property, but they pull the gas from under me, so that's activity. So it goes on forever. I never get to renegotiate the terms. I never get to get a better compensation rate.
Or get out of it.
Or get out of it. Now, one of the things the gas company is doing right now, which should be, the Attorney General should be posting information about this, is there's people that signed when we did, but they haven't had any activity on their property yet. So this year or next, their leases would expire. Ta-da! They'd be free. But you know what the gas company's doing? Sending checks. And if you cash that check, they got you for 5 more years. Now, we're sending those checks to the same people that didn't really do so well the first time, the ones that got $25 an acre, and those people haven't seen any royalties. So they're still living on a couple hundred acres. It's tax time again. Isn't that significant? The check's in the mail. Look at this, Mary. We got another check. Uh-oh, now should we cash it? Well, we got taxes due. There you go. They got the land for free again. See, there should be laws about that. Okay, it's a great resource, and they're making billions. Well, they throw pennies at the people for that. And they insult us, too, you know? I mean, they'd like to say they're good neighbors. They're telling you that, oh, we've got a partnership with Susquehanna County. We just bought them an ambulance. We just donated to the library. We're even sponsoring, you know, different charity events. They're buying the towns. These are gas towns now, just like the coal mining towns. These are gas towns. The deal is sealed. And how, you know, and how dare us be? We're not members of that club. Actually, I refuse to be a member of that club.
My wife was assaulted at a company picnic put on by Cabot. At a school grounds, they were having a picnic to celebrate their 101st well. So they invited the public there for free food. Of course, everybody's going to flock there because they got free food handed out. My wife went there with a jug of water like I have at home. She went there, and an armed security guard with a bulletproof vest on and a gun on his side approached her because they knew that she was going to be there, me or her was going to be there. They approached her and says, "What do you have in the jug?" She says, "My well water." He goes, "Well, what are you going to do with it?" "Well, I might drink it because Cabot said it's okay for me to drink. Nothing wrong with it." He said, "Let me have it." She says, "No, it's mine. You can't have it." And he grabbed it like this, grabbed her hand with the jug in there and just squeezed as hard as he could, bringing her right down to the ground until she finally let go of it. And they said it wasn't assault. How's that not assault when you touch somebody? And they got away with it.
The biggest fear right now is that the moratorium ends April 15th. And we'll be back here to finish the wells that they have stopped from finishing for more fracking. And this is a very prolific spot. There's a lot of gas here. And you know, the shale is tightly packed, so it requires a lot of holes to get it, you know, and they're not going to leave any of the gas. They're going to keep drilling until they get all the gas, which means we know, you know, it's like Calvin Tillman says, once you know, you can't not know, the mayor of Dish, Texas. And so it's like, we know. I'd love to be one of those people that have my head in the sand and say, no, this is the best thing, you know, since peanut butter. But I'm not. I know what can happen, and that's a burden. That's hard to know that. And now we're, counting the days, 45 days, until they return here. So I'm going to walk every day and try to enjoy every day until they return. And then I don't know, what I'm going to do.
Constant traffic.
But you hear the noise, you always hear the rumbling. There's never a night now where you have night sounds. Like we used to have a pair of hoot owls. I don't hear them anymore. All you hear now is grinding and roaring and whooshing and that's the night sounds. And maybe that's fine for people, that was their choice. But it wasn't my choice. We picked a rural setting out here in the middle of nowhere for the quiet night. And see, your people think we're real lucky, but you've got to think about what you value. What do you value? How do you enjoy your life? I think in Graphia he explained that this is, it's an industrialization. We're factories now. And there's no other way to explain it. It's a massive, I have 3 compressor stations in 2 miles. And that's just the beginning.
Do you have any plan to deal with those noises, or like after the moratorium ends, like middle of April? Do you guys all like how to, appeal for, I don't know, the local politicians or the media, or how to stop?
Before they come in here, they have to meet certain requirements before they're allowed back in here. And once they meet that criteria, then they're allowed in here. I would imagine we'll probably have to we'll just have to call the DEP, call the news aid, whatever happens, we'll have to do it, because we got to make this.
I still want the water line. See, I think that wasn't even, that was asked by DEP, but Penn Vest voted for that water line, 11-2. And we never had a revote. We never had a hearing. We never got to go back to Harrisburg and have them tell us, no, you can't have it. It was just DEP caved and said, oh, apparently there isn't enough support for this water line. Simply, it's what I told you. They didn't want to be sued. They weren't going to, they weren't going to take that on. And the state is broke. Isn't that funny? We don't even have a severance tax on the gas companies. They got a free ride. They bank in Delaware and send their money to Texas. And we're all, trying to figure this out here. So I still want the water line. I mean, if I have to sue DEP for that water line, if I have to sue John Hanger, because he promised here in my living room, stood here at that table, promised us a water line. And the reason he promised the water line was because he said you couldn't drill a water well out here and guarantee its safety. Do you understand the significance of that? The head of the Department of Environmental Protection is telling a community that it wouldn't be safe to drill any more water wells out here. And then they take away the water line.
Why did the DEP squash it and not the water company itself?
Well, American Pennsylvania Water, they were all set to do it.
Well,
They had it all.
So, wouldn't you think it would be up to them to squash it, not the DEP?
Well, Hanger said that our elected officials and our community, they were against it. Well, that's fine, but I would have liked the opportunity to go back to Harrisburg to a hearing and let Jean Carter talk again. Right. I mean, when that woman begs for water, there's not a dry eye in the place, because she's just like, mom's apple pie, and they just buried their son a few weeks ago, and they've lived here all their life, 40-some years, and they have to move so that Cabot can be richer. Does it bother you? I mean, I want this story to bother people.
It better. Anyway.
Okay, my understanding is getting deeper and deeper, like this.
And we've done these interviews, I don't know how many times, and nothing changes. I mean, I had Quebec, DEP was down here and sat at my table. I think of all the people, that we have told the story to, and for some reason we keep telling the story thinking that maybe this will be the one that shifts it. It was the same thing every time there was a spill or an incident. When Doug Heisman had 8,000 gallons of fracking fluid spilled on his farm, I said, hallelujah. Oh. And I thought, I don't mean that. But I was like, yes, this is the thing that will stop them. It didn't. Every time I think there's something that's significant enough or dangerous enough to stop it, it doesn't. They get rewarded for bad behavior. I was a teacher. You don't reward bad behavior. It's just so backwards.
And what did Cabot say when they were fined $240,000?